supremacy battle between the Senate and the National Assembly is now headed to the Supreme Court.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has assented to the division of revenue bill sparking protests from the Senate.
The Senate is accusing the President of colluding with the National Assembly to undermine devolution.
Our senior reporter Aaron Ochieng begins our bulletin this evening with a bill that has now drawn all the three arms of government into battle.
I apologize for the sound problem in that story. Let's take it again. And the supremacy battle between the Senate and the National Assembly is now headed to the Supreme Court.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has assented to the division of revenue bill sparking protests from the Senate.
Now the Senate is accusing the President of colluding with the National Assembly to undermine devolution. Aaron Ochieng has details of this story. Take a look.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has ignited fire at the Senate by choosing to overlook its recommendations to the Division of Revenue Bill and going ahead to sign the controversial bill into law, thereby favoring the National Assembly. Effectively, President Kenyatta's move means the counties will now receive less funds than what the senators and governors had wanted, as the start of the county autonomy officially begins on July 1st. Parliament was this afternoon informed that the President had assented to the controversial bill.
I am not fighting money that is going to counties. In fact, I would even want it to be 300 billion or 400 billion if there is a scientific way of arriving at it.
And I'm sure the President has assented to that, but I want to make the confirmation to the House. Because the law is very, very clear.
I can confirm to the House that the Division of Revenue Bill was assented to yesterday at 9:30 a.m.
The Senate adjourned and went into a closed session to discuss the President's move, obviously feeling beaten by the National Assembly. Article 95 of the Constitution gives the National Assembly powers to determine the allocation of national revenue between the levels of government. Article 96 of the role of the Senate gives the Senate powers to determine allocation of national revenue among counties, and this is where the Senate feels its role has been defied. Legal experts supporting the President say the National Assembly determines how much money will go to the county governments, while the Senate merely determines how the money approved by the National Assembly shall be shared among the 47 counties. Senate had wanted 258 billion shillings allocated to the counties, 48 billion more than what the National Assembly passed. The senators say they will move to court Wednesday morning to seek to nullify the President's move, as well as to seek the Supreme Court's advisory opinion on the President's assent to the bill.
Under the law, any state organ or agency, and this includes the Senate, can request for an advisory opinion of the Supreme Court on a matter that affects the discharge of his activities.
The Senate, we are going to court because as a House, we have decided to follow the Constitution strictly and to exercise our mandate strictly within the Constitution.
We want to resolve this matter through an extra constitutional process. We will be acting within the four walls of the Constitution.
President Kenyatta was under pressure to reject the controversial bill with less than 20 days left to the beginning of the next financial year. The President's move now leaves the National Assembly with a choice of introducing a supplementary budget proposal in the name of CDF, which will be channeled directly to their respective constituency accounts, which senators and governors will have no control over. Aaron Ochieng, KTN.
Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has defended his decision to sign into law the controversial Division of Revenue Bill. The President says he acted within the law in assenting to the bill and that he was pursuing national interest with a view to safeguarding the integrity and timeless timeliness of the budgetary process.
Uhuru says in the aftermath of the stalemate between the National Assembly and the Senate, the options of the executive under the law are limited to not acting at all, vetoing the bill or assenting to the bill. The President says the most prudent course of action was to assent to the bill in order to facilitate the timely conclusion of budgetary process and avert the risk of bringing government business to a halt. He said by not signing the bill, he would have severely compromised the ability of county governments to take off in the very first year.
Uhuru says by assenting to the bill, he is not undermining the devolution process as claimed by his critics, saying the new law was supported by the entire National Assembly.